Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kylie, and what we're going to be doing today is replacing these Ford locking hubs with these heavy-duty Warren manual locking hubs in my 110. So follow along as I show you step by step how I got them installed. Before I talk about anything on this table, I'm just going to give you a heads up that we've got two kids playing in the front yard right now. It might be a little loud, but that's just how our life is. So let's take a look at what we've got on the table. Before I started everything, I kind of laid everything out and prepped it. All of these screws have anti-seize on them. The bearing housing assembly and the clutch ring already have grease on them. And then I've got my clutch ring cage and then my return spring here. So I'm going to take the bearing housing assembly, I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to line it up. You might have some trouble getting it seated all the way back, so make sure you wiggle it back and forth as you're gently pushing it in. And that's what that should look like. The next thing is to put the return spring in, and you just want to kind of double check that the return spring isn't hung up or overlapped in any way. And you're going to put that right on top of the bearing housing assembly. Okay? And then we're going to take the clutch ring and the cage, and we're going to line the cage up with the larger gaps in the clutch ring. And the clutch ring is greased on the external teeth only. And we're going to bring this in here, and of course it's getting messy because we got some grease. Now you want to line these lines up in here too, and if they're not lining up, you may have to turn some things around, but let's see here. Got that pressed in. Alright, did you see how that slid in? Alright, so that's in and seated all the way. I'm going to hold it over here with my hand. And this does have a gasket on it, so make sure that the gasket's there when you're putting the cap on. Just kind of slide that over my hand. Alright, and it's seated there. Now we're just turning it so that the gasket and the holes line up for the screws. And I'm going to get one of these screws started. And I just took all the anti-seize off with my finger. Put it back on. Let's see here, right here. My hands are slippery from the grease. Do we have the... And this is a T25 Torx bit here. Alright, so I forgot to mention it when I started this install, but it's really important that the cap is set to the free position when you're doing the actual install. So we've tightened all these screws up to 20 to 30 inch-pounds, so we're going to go ahead and test it now. So I'm going to go spin the yoke, and what we should see is that the actual axle shaft is spinning, but the hub is not moving. Right. Axle shaft is spinning, and the hub is not moving. So then we're going to turn it to the lock position. There it is locked. Again, I'm going to spin the yoke, and we'll see the axle shaft moving and the hub. So that's how we know that it's been installed correctly. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to the free position. And there we go. And we'll spin it one more time. There you go. Now the installation for the other side will follow the same exact steps of what you just saw. If you're wondering why we went with these instead of sticking with the Ford hubs that we already had, it's because when we were taking them out of the axle, we noticed some plastic pieces were falling apart and what looked like metal chips, so we decided to stick with these Warren heavy-duty manual hubs. Thanks for watching, everybody. We were hoping to get a whole lot more done this weekend, except it rained for the majority of our weekend. So what can you expect to happen next? Next time, what we'll be doing is moving my steering box a whole 2 inches forward. We'll take you every step of the way on our next video. I hope to see you there.